Okay, welcome everybody. We just had absolute breaking news. The news that we've all been waiting for. Tesla just now dropped two new, more affordable vehicles. You got the Model 3 Standard and you got the Model Y Standard. Looks like the Model 3 is priced at $36,999 and you got the Model Y Standard at $39,999. We got Jeff Lutz here, perfect person, is going to tell us how these two more affordable vehicles, how they're going to change the game for Tesla. Let's take a look here. This is the Model Y. This is the Model Y Standard. You could take a look at here. It's kind of flipping back and forth, so it's hard for me to stop the view. But this is the performance, and then you've got. Let's take a look, another quick look. Here's the Premium, and then you've got the Standard. Here you go. That's the standard-looking car. Let's take a look at the Standard. 321 miles range, 5 seats. 74 cubic feet. So it looks like, Jeff, the theory that it's actually a shorter trunk, not necessarily a smaller car inside, may be true. What's your first reaction to all this, Jeff? This is the Model Y Standard.
Yeah, a couple of things. So first off, Tesla does this every other year when they basically come out with a new model. They typically come out with the all-wheel drive version of it. And then at some point they do a rear-wheel drive version, and then some point they do something with some cost-reduced features. So I don't believe this is the culmination of 6 quarters of work. I believe this is something that's been on their roadmap and what they typically do after they refresh their vehicles within about a year. We saw them do this last year with the Model 3 in Mexico, and it looks like they've taken that and they've done some more things clearly that are unannounced, whether it be with the electric motors, inverters, and so forth, where it helps them take cost out. But I think what this means for consumers is now that there's this span of pricing availability from the, call it the standard, premium all-wheel drive to a standard rear-wheel drive version. I think on the Model 3, there's about a $10,000 difference now, and on the Model Y, I think there's like a $9,000 difference. And if you do rear-wheel drive to wheel-wheel drive, I think it gets down to $5,000 to $6,000 of difference. So that's essentially what has happened. We know the technology that's going to get them a $25,000 to $30,000 vehicle in US and Europe is more of the Cybercab technology, where there's a fundamental step down in part count and the whole structure of how the product is designed or made. This was always going to be something that was going to get Tesla, something on the order of, $5,000 to $7,000 of movement. And that's what they have here. When you look on the website, now you'll see this span of pricing and availability. I'm not sure what's going on with the size of the vehicle, the complete dimensions of the vehicle. And I'm not sure that Tesla's done here either. So this will be interesting to watch in this space. I wouldn't say that. I don't know if they're done here because, like I said, we didn't know that they were doing a long version of Model Y. They released that. That has to go globally. So I don't know if they're done, but I've always thought that there's always this step along the way of do a standard version, cost reduce it. They've done this before. So I think people shouldn't I know there's been this huge buildup to this, to this launch, but I believe this is just one step of many, actually.
So we'll talk about pricing, but the Standard, I remember a long time ago, I was saying, why don't you just keep what you've already built, the previous version of the car. That's what it looks like to me. The front fascia looks like the original Model 3. They made the back shorter. And if you look at the website, it looks like that they're really just promoting the fact that it's all got the entertainment, it's got the big screen, you got things you can do there, it's got FSD. And that's what they're focusing on. It still has the range. That's interesting, right? That's important, the 321 mile range.
Yeah.
And still has the cubic feet inside the car, less so in the back. We'll take a look at that a little more closely. But what do you think about the price points, Jeff? $36,999. Let's order one now. Let's see what happens. First of all, you can order one now, right? So that is very interesting. Jeff, can you speak a little bit to that? They launch it and you can order it right now. $36,990. What about that price point?
Yeah, we'd have to see what deliveries look like. They're probably a month or two out. So I mean, there's tremendous. Looks like there's a lot of reuse within the supply chain, which is good. So yeah, this one now it looks like it's 4 months or so out in terms of delivery. So yeah,
Hmm.
we'll have to see.
Okay.
We'll have to see how that plays out based on your location. But again, I kind of view this as I know there's this huge buildup of I kind of I view this as Tesla has done these standard models before. I think they've taken it a little bit further here, but yeah, I think I think this is good to expand the lineup. These conversations about cannibalism, these people
Hmm.
have never. I don't know. I don't understand anytime you have a hit product like the Model Y and the Model 3. Model 3 is the number 2 selling EV in the world. When you have a hit product like that, what companies do to leverage it, to leverage the supply base, to leverage the spend, to leverage the capex that's in the factory, is they make more variants of it. So I see these conversations online about cannibalism or this or that. Those are completely, first off, any product extension launch is going to have some percentage of cannibalism that occurs throughout the product line. But none of these companies are going to commit the engineering, the capex, unless they understand the elasticity of their pricing and what it means to volume. So Tesla has a very clear understanding of what elasticity, meaning what does volume do as price goes down. Tesla has a very clear understanding of this. So I see these broad sweeping statements on X of everything's going to be cannibalized, or there's going to be no incremental volume. Just throw that in the trash. That's not how this works. Tesla has done the homework. Now, there's going to be variance on that performance. Who knows? But I would venture to guess with all of the pressures going on with tariffs, with all of the pressure going on with localization of manufacturing, which is more expensive for other companies to do because they have to do it now. And Tesla has done this over a series of years. I would say this positions Tesla very well because the other competitive EVs that sell for example, in the US, the top 4 selling non-Tesla EVs are made in Mexico. So, and they're paying the tariff. So I would have to think that this just further positions Tesla. Okay, you take the $7,500 credit away, fine. Here are variants that are somewhere between $5,000 to $7,000 cheaper. And oh, by the way, if the U.S. government's going to offer up to $10,000 of relief on financing, 80% of the people that buy cars in the U.S. use financing. If they're going to offer this relief, this tax relief on financing, well, we don't have to buy the rates down to zero. So that is thousands of dollars per sales in this equation that are going back to Tesla. So I know I'm kind of going all over the place from these cars, but all these things have happened at once. The $7,500 credit is gone. Okay, the federal credit. There's still the state credit, and now these new vehicles launched. They're $5,000 to $7,000 cheaper, and retroactive to January of 2025. There's this financing tax write-off incentive from the U.S. government. So I think things are generally trending well for Tesla, and I believe they launch these vehicles. These vehicles will achieve near COGS gross margin parity once they're at scale.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple things. One is remember that Elon said before, and I've been repeating this over and over, that it's going to be sub $30,000 with the IRA credit. So if you take the $36,990, let's say that's $37,000. If you had the $7,500 credit, it would have been sub 30. So this was actually the price point we already expected. Anybody who thought, oh, you're going to get the 30,000 car, where is it? Dude, did you not listen to Elon before? For some reason, you can do cash, you can do finance, but they don't have lease yet. So that's interesting. I think that might come shortly.
Yeah.
But we'll see how this sells. But for $5,000, we don't. If we have to find out, because I know there was a leak before. We don't know yet if that leak was accurate in terms of all the things that are missing in the car, because obviously they're not going to share that with us and the website. We don't know what's missing. But in terms of range, 321. In terms of speed, it looks like that they've kept that, and then all the entertainment and FSD is still available, right?
Now, I thought the range on a Model 3 was closer to 360 to
It says
400
three. It
miles.
says 321 for
I
the
know, I
standard.
understand that. I
Yeah.
understand that. But if you go up to the premium and all-wheel drive,
Hmm.
I'm wondering if they've taken some of the battery capacity down
Hmm.
because the mass of this vehicle should be less. And I'm wondering, I guess the motor has been removed as well. So I'm wondering why someone has to look at the dimensions of these vehicles and just understand. We just jumped on air, so we have to do some
Yeah.
homework.
Yeah.
But it looks like it. I'm wondering if they took some capacity out of the battery pack. We'll have to see. Or is it just software? Is it software defined at this point where it becomes there's a standard extended range or something that comes later? Who knows? But something definitely has occurred. But anyway, just in a world of automobiles where every time somebody's launching, they're launching something that's more and more expensive, especially in the U.S. and Western Europe. It has been refreshing to see Tesla continue to innovate here and be able to maintain and even reduce pricing on these offerings. So I think this is a good thing. I don't think they're done. I do think they're focused on Cybercab as the next major vehicle platform launching. But I do think as Cybercab scales, a lot of that tech will scale back into these products and help even reduce COGS further. So we'll see. But I think the big takeaways is I wouldn't be surprised with what they've removed and the engineering work that they've done, since these are very mature product lines, that Tesla's been able to maintain their gross margins, mostly maintain them while reducing the selling. When you can come down 15, 20% in ASP and maintain your COGS, that is a huge win. And these people, again, talking about cannibalism, there's less to worry about if the unit sales go up and you're maintaining your gross margins.
So you're
So
saying there
we'll have to
won't
see.
be cannibalism, but do you believe that this is
Herbert, what I'm saying, to be clear, there's people that they're touting like no incremental sales and 100% cannibalism. I think that's a bit extreme.
gotcha? Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that any kind of extension product line launch like this, there's some amount of cannibalism. The companies that do it right, they create the extensions at equivalent gross margins. The companies that F it up are the ones that take, half of it, half a gross margin hit trying to go lower in price. And I don't think Tesla's in that category. I think they've mostly maintained
Their
margins.
So can you explain or what you're thinking? Like some people are saying the Cybertruck, they revealed a lower price version, a lower trim, and then it doesn't seem to have taken off. And that's the worry that people have with this version. Where are you sitting with that? Is that obviously
Well, I
we
think
don't know, but
these are just different buyers. I mean, what's happened in the premium auto segment is everybody above $60,000
yeah,
is struggling, including a Cybertruck would struggle up at those levels as well too. So that area is taking a fairly big volume hit. So the Cybertruck wouldn't be immune to that. Cybertruck needs to expand globally. That's what Cybertruck needs to do, and then Cybertruck needs to decide if they're going to do another SUV variant of it, if they're going to continue in this platform or not. But I think what Tesla's doing here again is they're trying to more heavily utilize their capacity. That's a cost reduction as well. We just don't see that as consumers, but if they can utilize more of their factory capacity
It
they
became the
can
number
absorb more
one
fixed
best-selling
costs.
car overall in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to turn it off. But it's a closer look at Sawyer taking a look at the actual car when he was there a couple of days ago. Just a better view of the car. It looks great. Number one, it does not look cheap. They did maintain
people
the light bar in the back. Yep. Go ahead.
People just want a Tesla, and
Yeah.
Tesla's making a Tesla that looks very similar. People don't want something that looks like, wait, you obviously got the cheaper one, right?
It doesn't
People
look
don't
cheap.
want that.
Yeah.
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 Right.
So I think we'll see. But right now, for us who've had all these features that we know that they're removing, but most people who don't know what premium Teslas could be, they don't realize. I think this will still sell very well, right?
Yes, of course it's going to sell very well. Trying to compare a 30, 7,000 or $36,000 new Model 3 to a $60,000 Cybertruck, I think is
Yeah,
borderline, not, I'll say
yeah,
be nice.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do
So
that.
so $5,000. You were correct because like I think a week or two ago I asked you, okay, we had the list of things they're going to remove. How much is it? And you said around $5,000, and that's
Yep.
what we see. $5,000.
Yep.
So it's not this thing that everybody was going, it's gonna be $10,000, and you said unless they really do a real, form factor change, and this is the way to maximize a production line, reduce it by $5,000, and doesn't matter to Tesla which one you pick because you're still going to make the margin.
Yeah, and I think people get hung up on this word cheap versus affordable. These are more affordable vehicles. I wouldn't call these cheap. I
Yeah,
wouldn't call these,
good point.
inexpensive or Tesla has
That's
more work to
great.
do. Tesla knows they have more work to do in this area. I would have been concerned if I saw these things at 33,000 or 35,000. I would have been actually a bit concerned knowing what they've changed in the product. Unless they fundamentally did something, I would have been concerned if it was at that price point because I'm like, okay, they extended the product line, but they're taking a big margin hit. That's where cannibalization becomes a real problem. That's where you're like chasing market share. Tesla's not doing that here. This is a big jump. When you can take your MSRPs down, 10, 15, 18%, that's a big jump. And they did it in a way where I think, like I said, I think they're maintaining their gross margins mostly. We'll see. It's going to take it would take us to this time next year before we know if that's true or not. By the way, I think people are going to look at like Q1 or like, no, that's not going to be the conclusion. It's let them get this into production and get it scaled up,
Yeah.
and then we'll see.
So the surprise, of course, is this is the Model Y standard that we're looking at, and we were all kind of expecting this. What we're missing, or what people didn't realize, was that there's going to be a Model 3 standard. That is great. I'm very happy with that. I was expecting that as well. And that's what happened. There is a Model 3 standard that came out. What are you thinking about that, the Model 3 standard?
Well, like I said, Model 3 is the number 2 selling EV in the world. So to extend that and like I said, they did something with a version for Mexico. I think it did pretty well. So what I like about these is everything here can be built on the existing product lines, and there's just looks like there's some small tooling changes. There's some small product deletes,
Oh, sorry.
or feature deletes here or there. But this is again just trying to get it lower and lower in price and more accessible for everyone else. I think one of the reasons they're holding off on the lease deal
Yeah.
is my guess is they're looking to either do some sort of bundling or do something very innovative with banks on
Yes.
getting this down to like $299 or something a month. And like I said to Herbert, I think this is the direction they're heading in. And it's not more of cars as this big upfront financing. Look at Gen Z. Look at the new generation. People aren't buying cars as much. They're using they're using rideshare. So how do you change the game? It's not this big nut you've got to figure out. You've got to bring $5,000 to $10,000 to a dealership and deal with that. How do you change the game where it's just like, hey, I put my credit card down and it gets hit for Netflix, it gets hit for whatever, it gets hit for Herbert's Patreon, and then it gets hit for $299 my Tesla monthly payment. You didn't get my Patreon joke, Herbert, but
I heard it.
I'm trying to
Help me out.
so anyway, they're trying to turn it into more like that, and I think if anybody can converge, to me, the GMs, the Fords, they're moving away from this. The cars are
Yeah.
more expensive. They're $50,000 average price point. I think Tesla is moving more and more towards this monthly bundle. And if you look at the charging, you look at the
Yeah.
insurance, you look at all the services they're starting to offer, they're really starting to get there.
Yeah. So what you and I talked about on Monday, 2 days ago, was that this, right? We heard one of our viewers submitted this idea that we thought was the right path. The reason they don't have lease yet is they're about to share that with you, which is this: when you want to buy a car outright, it's going to be $36,999. It's going to be $39,999. It's going to be very expensive. They weren't going to bring that back down. Why are they doing that? Because they're going to release a lease that's going to be very attractive. Maybe $300 a month, something like that, something very, very attractive. Why does Tesla want to do that? Because after the lease ends, Tesla owns that car. They can then maybe use it as part of robotaxi, and then they can make even more money off of this car. So why sell this at a low price point? Sell it at a high price point for those who want to buy it. Those who want to lease, make it very attractive. Tesla still owns the car afterwards, and they can make even more margins ongoing as robotaxis afterwards. We think that that makes sense. Maybe that's what they're going to do. We'll see. But you and I already said on Monday, we weren't expecting the price to be $32,000, $35,000. This was about the right price point. And so I know there's a lot of audience members who are going, "Where's my $30,000 car? This is not the more affordable car." Well, this is the logic. This is the logic you think about.
Like I said, I don't think Tesla's done.
Yeah.
I don't think Tesla's done with this either. And I don't think people should view methods to reduce the price point of vehicles as some negative. I know there's analysts out there that are like, "Oh, you should be raising prices," and no, that's not the climate we're in. Actually, the climate we're in is it's going to be this rideshare world, or it's going to be this declining market of people still buying vehicles for personal consumption. And I think what Tesla's trying to do is they're trying to navigate both of those worlds with their robotaxi business ramping up, and then this business, they're trying to figure out how to reduce the price point and then change the bundle, change the approach of how vehicles are sold. It's not here yet. Here, you're still going to the website and you're still picking and you're still doing a financing option. You still got to put a bunch of money down, or you're paying cash. Like, it's not here yet, but I just think they're getting there.
Yeah.
They're
FSD
on a
14.
path.
Yeah, once 14 comes out and then everybody realizes it really does work, and maybe they're waiting for unsupervised when there is this potential that they can tell you to go to sleep in your car, you can do your makeup, you can eat. When they tell you that, then it'll probably include a bundled pricing. Insurance, FSD, the finance or lease price, and it's going to be a monthly fee. And it's going to be very attractive. It's going to be very, very good. So for a Tesla investor point of view, from that perspective, how do you feel about this?
Well, the Tesla investor base is very large, and there's a lot of opinions out there. So I saw for the last several weeks, it's like, oh, if it's not 34,990, it's trash, and this and that. Like, just no understanding of like how products are made and what margin structures are. That bigger jump is going to occur on the next gen technology. That's what Tesla is doing, and everybody's going to chase after them. So I think the stock initially probably somewhat negative of like, oh, these are just, they're just stripping down what.
Yeah.
I just think these are some of the models that they're going to do and that they do every other year is my point. I still think that there's
something
they're
else
not
coming.
done.
Yeah. And then just keep in mind that Elon has his compensation plan, his milestones. One of them is 20 million cars cumulative.
Sell cars.
Yep. He's got 8 million cars already sold. He's got to sell 12 million cars. And he's not, don't think that there's a plan here. We'll see what happens, but I'm pretty confident Tesla knows what they're doing. When they launched the Model Y L, what was the initial reaction by people? Uh-oh. This is why. And then, of course, it's a big hot seller. They kind of know what they're doing because it was in China, too. Selling a large car like that in China, people are going, they don't need that, right? But yeah. And so they called it the Model Y Standard and the Model 3 Standard. And then they've changed the name of the existing cars to be Model Y Premium and Model 3 Premium. And then they kept the performance. So that's standard for you, right? The premium standard
Yeah,
labeling.
this is
Yeah.
at least the third or fourth time that Tesla has done this in. Now, I think they're doing it to a greater extent and they're at much higher volumes than they've been before. But I mean, we've had standard versions of the Y before when they launched. We had the structural battery, like we've had different versions of the vehicle. So uh, let's see how this goes. Tesla again understands pricing and elasticity. They know what happens when they put promotions on. They know the velocity. They know the sellout velocity by region
Yeah.
when they put various promotions on, and they do price breaks. So now what they've done is they've structurally designed it into the product. So you have a product produced at that price break. So now the question is, how does the market react from a sales perspective? The stock market, I think, is going to be mixed. And again, there was not a new looking Tesla, so I think there's going to be some reaction,
Negative. Yeah.
some reaction to that. But I would, man, when you look at it from a purist perspective, you look at anybody understands the development cost structure of doing a new vehicle product line, the CapEx cost of doing it. And then if these product lines, the current ones, are not fully utilized, I think your first order and priority is to get those product lines fully utilized. And then it's the strategy question of, do you launch this cyber cab with no pedals, no steering wheel, and are you going full in that direction? And it looks like that is the direction that Tesla is going in. The question is there anything else between that and where we are today? And I don't know the answer to that question, but I've always thought that they would do a standard or cost reduced versions. The question is, are they going to do a smaller version? I've advocated for that. I've advocated for the longer and the shorter version. We haven't seen the shorter version left, unless these are. We just,
it could be that we're done. Let's move on. So the people, the investors who look at Tesla today and think of them as a car company, they're disappointed. That's not large enough a TAM. The price is not low enough. But the people who realize that cars are important, but they're not the main driver anymore. Literally, full self-driving version 14 dropped this morning, and so far, the initial reactions from the people testing it is through the roof excitement. They are seeing the major differences. That's what matters much more than these two cars. But together, I think we've got a winning.
There's convergence happening at Tesla in a number of areas. We saw them execute with the big delivery number that was 10% bigger than consensus. So that's operationally that is great execution. I know for some reason people don't think shipping cars is part of operations and supply chain. It absolutely is. And for them to get that out 10% above consensus is a big deal, especially in this kind of auto world and framework.
So question for you then, Q4, you now see the extra offerings, and you saw that, they won't deliver them until December or January. So are they going to contribute to these delivery numbers?
Well, it'll depend on, I don't know what, the availability is in your and other areas. We'll see what they can shoot out. But these cars are different. So you have to want a rear-wheel drive vehicle and like in the Midwest, you got to get an all-wheel drive vehicle. So you're still looking at the existing Tesla for sales. The current quarter, I think the first half of the quarter, and this is what Tesla wants. They really want the first half of the quarter to be very strong. And I think this overhang from the 75, at least in the US, will help. We're seeing, Europe strengthening. We're seeing China strengthening already organically.
Yeah.
They still have incentives they can put back on if they need to. But this is a transition point of Tesla's business from selling cars at a big MSRP number, although be it very competitive, to transitioning to selling maybe a monthly or selling rideshare service. They're in this transition point right now.
And also, it's common practice, right, Jeff? You've done this several times. When you launch a product, you actually want to launch with a high price point. And then as time goes down, you offer incentives, you answer lower prices, those kind of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you set that up so that its value is high. Okay, so this is it. We got FSD version 14 dropped late last night. This morning, people are testing it out. Now we know the two more affordable vehicles here. Model 3 now Model 3 Standard was a surprise to us. The Model Y Standard, they're both here. We took a quick look at it. Thank you, Jeff. We always appreciate your experience, and especially in supply chain and just in general with product releases and branding and marketing and quality. So thank you so much, Jeff. I am supposed to be leaving right now to the airport, so I got to go. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Safe travels, Herbert.
Thanks.